everyone, Larissa here from Beekeeping Made Simple, and I just reached 3,000 subscribers, so I thought I'd do a live video and say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And if you haven't, you have to hit the bell icon and subscribe in order to get notified when we do go live. Okay, so I was noticing on the sidebar some of the recommended videos that they had for me, and a whole bunch of them were about making money beekeeping and how much money you can make from beehives and all that fun stuff. And then I saw that one from the Tennessee something about his beekeeping. He has a bigger apiary, and I just want to say that I'm getting out of the honey sales end of beekeeping for one. Like right now in the process, I still have a website up, but not as much of a focus on selling, and I'm going to stop entirely at some point. And the reason why is because selling honey is a huge pain in the butt. Oh my God, is selling honey a huge pain in the butt? Like, who wants to sit there at a farmer's market all day in all different kinds of weather, bringing the table and the tent and setting up and breaking down and bringing all that junk out with you? Selling honey is a lot of work. And I'm telling you right now, unless you get to the point you have a lot of hives and you can buy one of those machines that pours the exact amount of ounces of honey into your jar, you're never really going to make much money selling honey. I mean, those machines are possible. They're not impossible to get to that point. But unless you get to that point, you're really not making much money. Honey sales is what every beekeeper assumes they're going to make money at, and it is just a huge pain in the butt. Okay, so the number one way that I recommend people make money beekeeping that not a lot of people do, but I've done it and a couple other beekeepers have done it, and it's worked really well for them, especially if you're on the smaller end of things. Maybe you don't want to hire employees, you just have a few hives. It's an easy way to get into the business of beekeeping without having to quit the full-time job. Though, to be honest, all of it is pretty easy because a lot of it can be done on the weekends. But it is getting paid to keep bees for people. I mean, and it seems a little silly, but a lot of people want bees, but they don't have somebody on staff, or they don't actually want to keep bees themselves. It might seem silly, but that is actually the case. So what I mean by this is, I mean, there's a hotel that I've been keeping bees for years now, and I get contacted by people who want me to put bees on their property and take care of them for them. And in exchange, they pay me money, like a monthly income, and they get to keep the honey. Now, whether you are bottling it and putting their labels and doing some of that other stuff is up to you and what your contract is. But there are a lot of people that want to do this. There's people that just have a lot of property and money to spend, and they have fruit trees and they want some pollination, or they just like the idea of having bees and they think bees would help increase their yield. There's small farms that aren't going to be those large scale farms paying for pollination services. And to be honest, you don't really want to put bees. That's like the worst place to put bees, is on those monocrop farms, because they're just spraying like crazy. Organic or non-organic, they're all spraying, and these sprays are toxic for the bees. So, but these smaller farms that aren't monocrop farms, if you put bees on their property, they benefit from the bees being healthy. So you can tell them when to spray so that they're not doing so much damage to the hive, like, you know, later in the day when most of the bees are back at the hive. Things of that sort. If the tree is in bloom, don't spray the tree while the bees are in bloom. While the bees are on it, spray before the blooms open. Spray after. They don't have to be sprayed like every single day. You can also get into putting solitary bee hotels on some of these places. Mason bees are another great way for some of these small farms that are going to have a continuous supply of food for the bees, because maybe they're growing vegetables and herbs, or they have things flowering throughout the season. There's not a monocrop farm that just has that one short flower season and that's it. So if their farm is in a food desert the majority of the year, then mason bees are another great option for them. And bee hotels can be bought, or you can make them pretty easily. And that's another thing that you can manage and put on their property. And to be honest, it's pretty easy to manage bees for other people. I mean, and then they pay for the equipment, they pay for the bees, and you just go there and check on them. It's really great. I mean, they're honestly getting paid to do something that you love, something that was a hobby, something that was costing you tons of money. People are now paying you to do this. So, how you find people like this? One, a beekeeping association is a great way if you're not involved in it to get involved in it, so that you find out about these opportunities faster than say, like uh, uh, usually like the admins are going to see some of this stuff and they're going to jump on it. They're not going to send it out to the whole community. That's how I found out about some of them. I started my own beekeeping association in my county because the closest association was like 2 hours away, and I wasn't driving out there, and they never had meetings close to my home. So I started my own, and that's where 2 or 3 people contacted me asking me to put bees on their property, and they were just people that had a nice size property and they were managing it, they were trying to grow it, and they just wanted bees. The guy bought a flow hive when he saw it on Kickstarter, or no, GoFundMe, whenever he thought it was cool, but then had no intention of actually taking care of the bees or putting bees in there. So I put bees in there, and I didn't have to pay for any of that. So there are a lot of opportunities. Hotels, resorts, it's a really big thing for some of these places to want to market. You'll see there's a honey company here in Hawaii that has bees. I think it's at Mauna Kea resort or one of those resorts up there. They have like 2 flow hives, and seriously, 2 beehives. I have 4 beehives at one hotel. It doesn't take a lot of beehives. You're not putting like an apiary up in order to for this hotel to be able to say that they have bees and they are serving their honey from their hives on their property in their restaurant. It really just takes literally like 2 or 3 beehives. And so in the case of the flow hive at that resort, what they do is the guy said that they put the bees in there and they will go check on them once in a while, but they leave it up to the employees to pull the honey because they're using a flow hive. And that's something I mentioned in the flow hive video that I made, was the one time that the flow hive has really been helpful for me is when putting bees on that hotel's property, because it is quite a pain in the butt getting the pulling the honey and harvesting it in the employee kitchen break room, because they don't want me going into the nice kitchen and they don't want bees going up into the property and into their nice kitchen. So the flow hive is helpful when doing things like that. So farms, like the non-monocrop farms, hotels, especially farms that have a store where they are selling something with their label. Like here in Kona we have a lot of coffee farms, so I could contact, if I wanted to look for more clients, I could contact a whole bunch of these coffee farms and offer to put 2 to 5 beehives on their property, and they pay me a monthly fee and all of the honey goes to them. I bottle it, I can provide them with a label, or they can give me the label, put it in the jars, and now they have honey from their farm with their label on it that can go into their farm store as one. Restaurants is another one, especially if you are in a suburban or an urban area. You can put beehives on the rooftops of these buildings, and I'm assuming that you can access the roof of the building easily, because you're going to have to be pulling, things that weigh a considerable amount of weight. You're going to need 2 hands to carry off of the roof, and or some kind of backyard area, and you can put beehives up there. Cities are great for this as well. Yeah, I interviewed Andrew Cote. He has a book out. I forget the name of it, but his last name is spelled Cote. And in my podcast, A Buzz About Bees, I talked to him about his time. He has bees in New York City, and he goes all over the place putting bees there. He has bees at a zoo. Retreat centers are another place that are often all about a more holistic approach, and they will have a little garden, and they would want hives there, so that, so a lot of these centers want to purchase as little as possible and want to gather as much from their property as they can, to use in their center, because then the people that stay there can help with these things, and it's actually a part of the experience. I saw a B&B, I think it was in Arizona or New Mexico, and it was genius. You can pay to stay at this B&B, and then you get to help in their garden and their greenhouse and with the bees for free. I mean, yeah, you're like paying someone to stay at their farm and help them on their farm, and which is kind of funny. You think that they would be paying you, but for some people, they want that experience. They spend all their time in the city at a desk, and so they want to be able to go out to a farm and have that experience. So even some nice B&Bs in your area that have a little bit of land, or somewhere that they can put beehives, that can be something that you offer them, that they can have honey with their own label, that they can sell, that they can say that they're using in their food, and can also be an experience for their visitors to come see the hives. Hives with windows in them, flow hives, because that has a really popular, it's just popular. People know about it, they've heard about it. um, and the flow hive comes with a window, so that is pretty nice that you can see the bees at work without having to open the hive. But top bar hives are also really great for being able to put a window. Um, just a lot of people that have money. Uh, and have a little bit of property. Those are often people that are contacting me, asking me if I can put bees on their property, and they can just pay me to take care of them. So that is really, I mean, I can't stress enough how great of an opportunity this is to make an income beekeeping that is a million times better than selling your honey. You sell your honey, you have liability selling food, you have the jars, the labels, labeling, just like sticking all those labels on the jars, filling the jars. Wholesale accounts, you're selling at least 30 to 50% less than the retail value, because they have their markup. And you have to deal with these clients, and you have to, it's year round. Busy time is going to be during the Christmas season. You have to deal with the shipping and jars breaking if you're have to have a website. It is, and then if you're actually selling online, you have to you can't sell through the cottage food laws, which means that you need a food safety or a certified kitchen. So there's all of that stuff involved. And really, you're not going to get to the point that you are making somewhat of a decent income selling honey until you're at the point that you can hire someone to help you, and you have the machinery to do some of the work for you. When you're doing all this stuff by hand, you're really just not going to be making much when you consider how much time and how much you're spending versus how much you're making in the end. And then, of course, there's pollination services, and that is a great income as well for people that live in areas where that is an option. The only thing is that you do need beehives, and that is the problem with making a decent amount of money with almost anything in beekeeping. Is you're not going to make that much money with like 5 beehives or 10 beehives. You really need a lot of beehives, and that's time and that's money into the equipment. And if it's pollination services, then that is a truck that can hold all of these beehives. I mean, how many beehives can you fit in the back of just like a regular pickup truck? I believe we've done 8 or 6. Is yeah, I think maybe 6 might be maximum what we fit in the back of the, we have an F-150. So once you're want to be beyond that, or you don't want to deal with having all of those expenses and lifting those heavy beehives, and you're going to need someone to help you lift it, you want to start small, and you want to not invest too much of your own personal money, and you don't want to deal with having to lift a lot of heavy equipment. Find people to pay you to keep bees for them. I guarantee that it will be easier than you thought it would be. And there are people that do this already. There are businesses out there that make an income from it. So find them. Off the top of my head, I can't really remember the names of some of them. I remember seeing one that was in like South Carolina, I believe, like through Instagram. They were posting about what they're doing, and they have a few employees at this point. A friend of mine that I kept bees with in Hawaii is doing that now, where she is, I believe, in Virginia. They are, and it has worked for me, and I didn't even intend to find it. It was just something that I found while starting the bee association in my county, and just people knowing that I was a beekeeper. Then they started to contact me and ask me if I could start keeping bees for them. And again, I've mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but if possible, if you honestly want to make beekeeping more of a career than a hobby, instead of trying to do that slow shift from your full-time job to running your own business as a beekeeper, the best way to make the that shift as successful as possible with the least amount of losing money is to work for an apiary and to see what it's like, and to see all the mistakes they make, and to really see if you want to do that full time, because it's really the best way to start running a business is to work for someone else's business. It will save you a huge amount of money and hassle and time. Um, so the reason why I mentioned that is because it will also get you a ton of leads, because you work for somebody in the industry, but who doesn't do the same services as you. You're golden. Okay, you don't want to just find anybody. You want to find that company everyone contacts. So for me here, I started working for Big Island Bees, and they are one of the biggest honey production companies in the state. They're not the biggest in that they have the most amount of hives. I mean, when the hive beetle and mite got here, they lost a lot. They lost more than half their bees, as well as a lot of other people lost even more than that. But they still have that name, and they have a really nice logo, and they are in all of the resorts and all of the grocery stores, and they just run a really great business. They have a great brand, and everybody knows who they are. So I worked for them. And now when I have beekeeping classes and I do my comb honey, when someone contacts them, because that's usually the first person that they contact when they need something beekeeping related, they just contact Big Island Bees. I need to buy bees. I need this. I need whatever. You're a beekeeper, so you must do everything under the sun related to bees and honey. I contact them. And if it is something I do, like the classes or the honeycomb or managing beehives, they contact me. And they contact me because I worked for them for 7 years. And in the process of working for them, I was building my own apiary. Um, Whether or not you're going to be able to get a big business like that to start referring people to you just because they met you a couple times is iffy. So working for somebody and for them to see that you're reliable and you know what you're doing and you're a hard worker is really the best way to have like a relationship like that with some of those businesses, and it will get you up and running so much faster when you are ready to really start that business. So, ask questions if you have them. I'm happy to answer based off of the experience I've had with offering these kinds of services. Um, and honestly, right now, I don't really want to do this anymore because keeping bees for other people. But I have a friend that I send everybody to her now. So now it's kind of like just everything's trickling down. So now she gets all of these clients from me. And if you're a little weird about, not weird, that's not a nice word to use. I am like this as well. A little shy, or not a big fan of contacting people. I'm trying to get them to put bees on their property. Um, a good way to start is by asking people if they want bees on their property and putting them there for free, and you keep everything in. Maybe you offer them like a jar of honey, and then work from there, or offer to do it for free for one place. And then once you have it in with like a good name, like I do it for this restaurant and they sell their comb honey at their breakfast buffet and it's a good name and people know of this restaurant, it'll be a lot easier to contact other places and say, I already do this for this restaurant. You don't have to tell them you do it for free. And that will be it's just easier when people know you're not just some random person emailing them, but somebody that works with somebody that they know or is a reputable name in the business. It will get you there a lot faster. I did this unintentionally when I was first looking for somewhere to put beehives. My bees were not doing well at my where I was renting. It was just all coffee land. And actually later found out that there was a yard of 50 beehives like on the property. It was like 3 acres, 5 acres, I don't remember. But one of the queen breeders had 50 beehives on the property. I just never been to that part of the property. I had absolutely no idea that there were so many bees there. So, it makes sense that the 2 beehives I had put there weren't really doing much. And so I contacted an ethnobotanical garden that was down the street. And they had always been wanting bees on their property, but nobody there knew how to do it. Nobody had the time. They're a nonprofit. And they let me put bees there for free. They had no interest in the honey. And they actually let me also sell my honey in their gift shop. So that is a great way to just get in, contact any of these places: garden centers, horticulture centers, retreat centers, restaurants, hotels, resorts, and see if anybody wants bees at their property. A zoo, um, there's nurseries, there's just a lot of options. And depending on where you are, you're going to have more luck than others. But if you are in more of a farmland, then you're going to want to contact some of those smaller farms, the farms that want bees but don't want to pay for pollination services. And they can sell their honey on their website and in their farm shop. And you can put even solitary bee hotels there for a cheaper price because it's a lot less maintenance, but they just don't get any honey. And it's really, you just want to make sure that they know the benefit and talk a lot less about yourself and a lot more about them, and keep it as short as possible because people don't care. Like really, they don't read. People do not read emails. They don't read your messages. If what you have to say isn't giving them a compliment in the first sentence, then strip that email and start over, and make sure that in the next sentence you're telling them what you can do for them to help them, and leave it at that. Let them be curious about what you have to say and how you can help them, and respond back. And also expect to have like 1 out of every 50 places respond. So don't go contacting 10 places and say no one got back to me. That's not the way it works. And it might take a little while. I just yesterday got an email from someone from a TV show here on the island, asking if they could do a feature about our farm. And I contacted a ton of places last year when I was pregnant, but not even like, I think, really looking pregnant yet. And contacted magazines and TV shows and everything in the area, and even some just online that would be interested in it, about my business, about what I was doing, about the education, about beekeeping I was doing. And I heard absolutely nothing from anybody. Like, not even like thanks for contacting us, we'll be in touch. I had no idea if I heard anything from anybody, and if anybody opened it. I had absolutely no idea. And then yesterday one of those people contacted me. So sometimes you just have to send it out and get on people's radar, and maybe follow up a month later or so, when it maybe is a better time for them, because timing is sometimes also really important. You need to make sure that you're contacting these people not during their busy season. Like, you don't want to try to sell something to an accountant right before taxes are due, because they're too busy for that stuff. This is stuff that you would want to contact people about, say in the fall, when they have the time to, when things are slow. If it's, say, like a farm. If it's a restaurant, then you want to do it like maybe January or February, once all of the holiday stuff is over. You want to do it when they have the time to respond and think about it, not when it's their busy time of year. So thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate getting to 3,000. It's nice to see that it's helping people. And please leave in the comments if you have questions or there are topics you want to learn about, because otherwise I'm just pulling things out of what I wish I knew, or problems that are coming up for me that I'm addressing. So anything that you want to learn about that you're having a hard time finding, let me know, and hopefully I can help you out. Have a great night. Bye.